to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Guess what? Keith Thurman's never wanted the WBO. Okay, we don't really care about the WBO.
Well, that makes two of you, because the WBO doesn't care about you, doesn't care about your fight, and the reason the title's not on the line, the real reason, is because they don't think you deserve a title shot. And I agree with them.
When people talk about, oh, how come people didn't want to fight Crawford, this and that, nobody was interested in the WBO, you know?
You called it the WB no. Why?
Yeah, the WB no. You want to know why it's the WB no? There are countries today that still do not recognize that organization.
What countries are those, Keith? Do you fight out of any of those countries?
You cannot bring that world title to certain countries today and be recognized.
What are you worried about those countries for? You don't fight out of those countries. You fight out of this one, where it's recognized. What countries are those, anyway?
As a champion. It's just understanding the real history, and the history is WBA, WBC, IBF, WBO. It's just, you got to understand lineages, you got to understand history. Eventually, when you have a name in the sport, it's not about belts anymore.
Is that what you're supposed to be? A name in the sport? Keith Thurman is a name in the sport of boxing in 2024?
It's about name, it's about status. This fight is still a big status fight. It excites me, which allows me to get up and do what I need to do. That's why I signed this contract.
You signed this contract because you don't have much of a choice. There are not that many big fights left, if any big fights left, at 147, or 154 for that matter. This is one of the few fights that you can have, and the only real reason you're having it is because it's this a retirement. The fuck else were you gonna do? You're about one nose hair removed from retirement. The night of the fight, Keith Thurman will not have boxed in 2 years' time. And as much as he wants to downplay the WBO's relevance to today's boxing landscape, the WBO is recognized in the United States, where you're fighting. You're too good for the WBO? Is that what it is? Or is it that because you haven't fought in close to 2 years, 2 years the night of the fight, and because you haven't done anything as a junior middleweight, the WBO themselves refused to sanction your fight? It wasn't up to you. It was up to them. You should be so lucky. You need to fight for a WBO title more than the WBO needs you to fight for one. The fuck? The fuck's this guy on about? You were on pay-per-view close to 2 years ago, and nobody bought it. So where do you get that it's about status, or that you have status or name value, when your name didn't seem to add much value to the Mario Barrios fight close to 2 years ago? 2 years ago, do you remember that? Do you remember that you fought him and practically no one bought it? Keith Thurman says that there are countries out there that do not recognize the WBO title, but you don't fight out of any of those countries. Not that you mentioned any of them, because you didn't. You fight out of the United States, where the WBO is recognized by the ABC Commission. So what are you trying to convince us of? That you're too good to fight for the WBO, but Terence Crawford isn't? A fighter who by and large is way more accomplished than you are and ever will be. What are you telling me? That you're too good to fight for the WBO, but Terence isn't, Inouye isn't, Usyk isn't, Teofimo Lopez, Josh Taylor, Devin Haney, Vasyl Lomachenko? I mean, do you want me to go on? Because it's a long list. Some of your PBC stablemates are on there. Peter Quillen used to be a WBO champion. Jermel Charlo used to be a WBO champion. He used to be undisputed. What are you telling me? That you're too good to fight for that title, but they're not? Stephen Fulton, another one of your PBC stablemates. He used to be a WBO champion. He used to hold that version of an alphabet title. What sets you apart? What the fuck is supposed to make you so special? You know who used to be a WBO champion? The man who beat Keith Thurman, Manny Pacquiao. He held the WBO title. What are you trying to convince me of? That you're too good for that title, but they're not? What the fuck is supposed to make you better than him? I don't actually know who Keith Thurman thinks this stuff goes over well with, but it all sounds stupid, and it all sounds like he's just pouting that the WBO wouldn't sanction his fight. And why would they? Why should they? You haven't fought in close to 2 years. You haven't done anything as a junior middleweight, so why should you be afforded a title shot? Voluntary or otherwise, it's a farce of a fight. Hopefully Tim Tszyu gets rid of this guy and sends him packing. The truth is, I've already spent too much time talking about Keith Thurman. We barely see the man in the ring. We barely see the man in action. He's quasi-retired anyway, and hopefully this is the last we see of him, because this reads like a cash-out fight. What it reads like is Keith Thurman's swan song.
Good, get him the fuck out of here.
In men's super lightweight news, numbers are in for last Thursday's super lightweight contest between Teofimo Lopez and Jarron Ortiz, which averaged around 532,000 viewers and peaked at 584. You would have expected more, given Teofimo's talk about how he's a superstar and people are clout chasing him.
The numbers aren't horrible, but they're not superstar numbers, are they?
It is probably just as well, considering the mundane nature of how it unfolded, but fewer viewers than usual watched the most recent boxing main event, ESPN televised. Viewership figures released by Nielsen Media Research indicated an average audience of 532,000 watched the 12-round, 140-pound championship fight between Teofimo Lopez and Jarron Ortiz on Thursday night. ESPN's audience for Lopez versus Ortiz peaked at 584,000 towards the end of a boring bout. Lopez won by unanimous decision at the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino's Michelob Ultra Arena in Las Vegas. In addition to airing on a Thursday night, Lopez versus Ortiz didn't begin until 11:39 p.m., which undoubtedly impacted ESPN's viewership.
What are they doing fights on a Thursday for?
Well, you figure that if you do a fight on a weekday, more people are going to be home, thus more people will be in front of their televisions to watch the bout, at least in theory.
But it came on too late.
At 11:39, while most people might be home instead of outside like they would be on the weekend, while more people might be home during a weekday, more of them will be asleep at that time. 11:39.
Think about the people on the East Coast.
The silver lining is that Nielsen's numbers only include viewers who tuned in on ESPN's linear channel, because the tracking service doesn't have access to streaming viewers on ESPN Plus, which a good number of people use, which now accounts for a sizable portion of ESPN's audience. ESPN doesn't release viewership totals from ESPN Plus.
In other words, that 500,000 or so isn't everyone that watched the fight.
Nevertheless, the audience for Lopez versus Ortiz was significantly lower than the viewership for Lopez's previous appearance on ESPN, a 12-round UD defeat of former champion Josh Taylor on June 10th in New York. The average audience for Lopez versus Taylor was close to 1 million at 945,000, and it peaked at 980,000. And bear in mind, those are just the numbers from the linear network. That doesn't include people who watched it on ESPN Plus.
It's probably better that people miss this one, though.
This fight and that performance did absolutely nothing for Teofimo Lopez's profile and what people think of him. This fight was a bad advertisement for that fighter anyway, so if this one brought in less numbers than that one, that might be a blessing in disguise.
This fight brought in less numbers than Taylor versus Lopez. This fight brought in less numbers than Better Beef versus Smith.
Callum Smith, where Lopez versus Ortiz only drew in about 500,000 viewers, just north of that. Better Beef versus Smith brought in 691,000. I think it averaged 691,000 and peaked somewhere around 700,000.
What does that mean?
That means that more people were interested in seeing a Russian guy fight a British guy than watching Lopez fight Jarron Ortiz, which is all the more reason for Teofimo Lopez to pump the brakes on all the clout chaser talk. To what clout is he referring to?
He said something about Shakur Stevenson and Keyshawn Davis clout chasing him.
Clout chasing? What do you mean clout chasing? There's a difference between guys using your name to promote themselves and guys pursuing a fight with you. If they're pursuing a fight with you, that's not clout chasing, that's the name of the game.
Guys just throwing your name around all willy-nilly to have articles written about them, that's clout chasing. But two guys that want to fight you.
Two guys that are on the same side of the street as you are, campaigning at or around the same weights that you do, that's not clout chasing, that's the job. That's the assignment. That's what they're supposed to do.
Remember when he got mad at Eddie?
Because Eddie Hearn said that he's a bit delusional. His fight with George, it didn't sell out. He's not that big a draw. You look at these numbers.
He didn't draw that much.
Bit of a sharp decline from the numbers he drew in with Josh Taylor.
Pump the brakes, kid.
You don't have enough clout that anybody should chase you for it. These guys are looking for a fight how you were looking for a fight with Lomachenko years ago. It's the name of the game.
It's not clout chasing, that's literally the job. That's what they're supposed to do.
Calm down. In men's welterweight news, the current legal situation involving newly crowned IBF champion Jarron Boots Ennis, who's filed a lawsuit against Now Boxing seeking release adjournment in excess of $1 million.
This guy's career is going nowhere fast.
Jarron Boots Ennis is locked in for his next fight. Unfortunately for the unbeaten IBF welterweight titleist, it will take place in a courtroom rather than a boxing ring. BoxingScene.com has confirmed that Philadelphia's Ennis has filed a 3-count lawsuit against Now Boxing, claiming breach of contract. The case was filed on February 7th, earlier this month, with the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, where he seeks declaratory relief to void his current agreement with his estranged promoter and a judgment in excess of $1 million.
This guy's career is going nowhere fast.
The heart of the complaint is focused on Ennis's gross inactivity in relation to the number of bouts promised from a signed agreement he entered into in 2019 with Now Boxing. The 4-year agreement called for Ennis to fight 4 times each year in years 1 and 2 of the agreement and 3 times each in the 3rd and 4th years. Ennis has fought just 10 times in more than 5 years since he signed with Now Boxing, which was previously run by Cameron Duncan prior to his passing earlier this year. The company is now run by Kelly Duncan, Cameron's widow, whom Ennis and his legal team cite as not having any experience in that realm. Furthermore, the complaint alleges that Ennis was not offered any fights by the company since his 10th round stoppage of Roman Villa last July 9th in Atlantic City. It's the last time he fought. During the term of the agreement, plaintiff has been ready, willing, and able to participate in the number of bouts specified in the agreement and has made defendant aware of his willingness. Attorney Arnold Joseph argued on behalf of Ennis in the official complaint, a copy of which was obtained by Boxing Scene. Yet defendant has only given plaintiff the opportunity to participate in the following number of bouts. In year 1, he only fought 3 times where he was supposed to have fought 4. In year 2, he only fought 2 times where he was supposed to have fought 4 more. In year 3, he only fought 2 times where he was supposed to fight 3. And in year 4, he only fought once where he was supposed to fight 3.
He's saying they didn't hold up their end of the bargain. They didn't get him the number of fights that they were supposed to.
To date, defendant has not advised whether Ms. Duncan or defendant is a licensed promoter. Plaintiff avers that Mrs. Duncan has absolutely no experience in promoting professional boxing events. Plaintiff's last bout took place on July 8th of last year. Defendant has failed to offer any bout opportunities since that date.
In previous videos, we often talked about how Jarron Boots Ennis, in spite of making an appearance on several PBC shows on Showtime, he wasn't actually a PBC fighter. He wasn't one of Heyman's boys. It was Cameron Duncan handling his career before he passed away earlier this year.
According to the complaint, Ennis was informed via an official letter on January 15th that Kelly Duncan assumed control of Now Boxing. The notice was provided 13 days after Cameron Duncan's passing. Ennis's team acknowledged in the complaint that the 2019 agreement carried a clause that provided Now Boxing with unilateral rights to extend his contract in the event he ever won a major title. Ennis was elevated to full IBF welterweight champion from his prior interim status after Terence Crawford failed to honor the terms of an ordered IBF title consolidation bout last year. The development has not at all helped Ennis's ability to land a fight of any kind, significant or otherwise.
In layman's terms, because he became a champion, Now Boxing has the right to extend his deal.
Though because Kelly Duncan doesn't actually have any experience promoting boxing or boxing matches, one is left to wonder, what happens now?
Is she gonna fight for this thing? Is she gonna fight for the right to keep Boots under contract and under Now Boxing based on the existing agreement, or does she cut him loose?
I remember many years ago, Artur Betterbeef sought release from Yvonne Michelle Promotions for a similar reason. Under their existing agreement, Artur was promised a certain number of fights within a certain time frame, and Yvonne Michelle did not honor that agreement. They didn't deliver him those fights, and as a result of that, he was released, at which point he crossed over to the matchroom side of things briefly. Then he went over to Top Rank, and he's been there ever since. So it's possible that based on this, Jarron Ennis may be released.
Because what the fuck is Kelly Duncan gonna do with the contract for Boots? She's not a boxing person.
She might not be, but she might still be able to siphon money from Boots' purses if she keeps the rights. So you see what the problem is. This legal matter comes 4 years after Ennis was in a dispute with Chris Middendorf and Victory Boxing, who previously partnered with Duncan, but whose relationship with Ennis became fractured following their split. Ennis claimed at the time that his relationship with Middendorf was through Duncan and that he was prepared to follow the latter out of the door following the split between former bosses and partners. Middendorf argued in private and through the legal system that a binding contract remained in place, with the dispute threatening to put Ennis's promising career on hold. The case was settled in June of 2021.
In recent years, we've seen Jarron Ennis on PBC shows, even though he's not an according to Hoyle PBC fighter. They had some kind of an arrangement with Showtime.
Because he's been primarily boxing on PBC shows, you have to wonder what exactly was Cameron Duncan's ability to honor the contract, to keep the fighter active and keep the fighter busy when it seems like he was relying on PBC.
Looks like he was relying on PBC shows to get this guy fights.
Most recent development in reference to Jarron Boots Ennis and what he's supposed to be doing was a Mario Barrios fight that has since got postponed, and they're hoping that it lands in May on the undercard of Canelo Alvarez's next fight, but that's assuming Canelo stays with the PBC, which is a separate matter. Ennis's team seeks a jury trial for his complaint versus Now Boxing while he remains without a confirmed fight date. The complaint alleges that his livelihood is impacted by the promoter's actions or the lack thereof to progress his career. By reason of the foregoing, a justiciable controversy exists between adverse parties which involves a substantial legal right of plaintiff to wit the right to engage in his chosen livelihood and earn a living. Plaintiff therefore seeks a declaratory judgment that the agreement is void, noted Joseph on behalf of his client. Plaintiff seeks an order and judgment in favor of plaintiff and against defendant, declaring that the agreement is void. It seems like Boots really isn't free to do anything or go anywhere until this is settled. All of this could be coming to a head because maybe Al Heyman wants to sign him, but he can't.
Now Boxing has him under contract.
We don't know what Kelly Duncan wants to do because, as stated, even if she's not a boxing person, she can still siphon money from Boots' purses because she has the rights to him.
Contract's extended because he's a champion now.
So like I said at the start of this segment, this is a guy whose career is going nowhere fast.